Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and welcome to Mythic, Nexus Princess Ky'vexa. This is the 6th of 8 bosses, I believe. Very, very hard fight as well. So, starts off, there's a tank combo thing that it does. This is just all 4 hits always hit the same tank. It's not one of the ones that you swap in the middle of. And then the boss will pick 5 people to spawn ads off of. And those ads we tried to put kind of around the room, and then the boss, we move to one of the other 6 spots of the hexagon. So there's, 6 spots around there. And it starts doing these nether rifts. Each of the images and the boss will do a nether rift, and they'll pull you towards them. And if you get gripped into a rift, it's over, you die. But if you have them all if you're in the middle and there's rifts pulling you in all directions, you don't get pulled in. If they're all on the same side as you, you get pulled very hard in that direction. And that's kind of a disaster. Now, every time you get hit by, I think, most of the boss mechanics, especially those lines they'll do, you get a dot called Queen's Bane. So I'm going to have to rewind this because this is moving too quickly, and I'll show you the start of the fight again because so much is happening here. So we had our 5 ads created. We moved the boss. We get the nether rifts. The boss and the nether rifts are all doing these rifts. Now, every person who spawned an ad, you see has these lines coming out of them. This is the Queen's Bane dot. So it's a 10-second dot. It's a nasty dot. And when it expires, you shoot out orbs in those 3 directions from you. And so what we want to do is kind of try and keep those from going through the middle of the raid. One of those people was kind of bad about that on this poll and blasted the raid, so you can see everybody's kind of low. One other fun mechanic on this fight is if you're ever below 10% health, the boss will hit you for 3.6 million shadow damage a second later and try and execute you. So if you're ever below 10% health, it's like immune, lay on hands, or die. Or else you're going to die even if you get like a 30% heal, right? Even if you health pot, you're going to get executed. So you can see it's a sketchy spot there. A couple people came very close to getting killed. So here comes the Twilight Massacre. So this is, again, we've rewound to the 35 seconds into the fight. Each of these ads will now pick a person and they're going to dash through that person. Now, 3 of the 5 ads have been empowered by Deathmark, which you can see that this one's red. These ones are blue. So this one has been empowered by Deathmark. The Deathmark only gets removed from the ad if it charges through the boss. If it doesn't charge through the boss, it won't lose its Deathmark. If it does charge through the boss, it'll lose the Deathmark, but the boss will gain a stack of a pulsing AoE damage thing that also increases the boss's damage. So 2 stacks of this means that it's pulsing for double the base damage, and the boss has a 20% damage increase. So it is like slightly more dangerous to do more at once. But then you can use raid CDs and stuff. You get 2 chances to clear in each phase before the intermission. If any death marks are still out in the intermission, it wipes the raid. So you have to clear all 3 before the first intermission. Then there'll be 4 before the second intermission and 5 before the last intermission. If it's like heroic, we didn't actually see past. I guess we had a 5-minute pull, so we didn't actually see past 5 minutes in this fight though. So we don't know the very end of this fight. But yeah, you can see, look at the dots on everybody here. So those lines, there should be 5 people with a dot, but people got cleaved by those lines because they were going through the middle of the room because they have to hit the boss, right? And then those people now have multiple stacks of the dot. Now, I suspect this is not going to be how we actually play the fight. I suspect that what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to drag the boss between 2 red ads, have those red ads cross through the boss and clear their debuffs that way, and have all of the other ads just stay still and have everybody who's targeted by them just run next to them so that they only charge 5 yards. And that will really minimize. I think the reason that you need to do that is because look at our raid frames here. Look how many stacks of this dot we have. And look how many orbs we're about to spawn now while we're also dodging these Nexus daggers that all the boss and all the ads are doing. Did we live this? Yeah, we lived this. Nobody died. But that was sketch, and I don't think it's going to be workable in the later phases. So I suspect that's going to be how you'll handle that mechanic once it's for real. But what we were doing is we were just kind of keeping the boss in the mid and then having all the ads charge through that. Yeah, and I think that's got to be worse than dragging the boss near red ads already and kind of minimizing how much the middle of the room is getting sliced through. Although you can see here, we only got 6 debuffs out, and one of them was on a tank, so only the tank got cleaved there. Everybody else managed to avoid it, so not the end of the world, right? It's feasible, but it's not great to do it this way, I think. So yeah, you can see what the rifts are like if everybody's kind of getting gripped in the same direction. A couple people got killed by that middle rift. It wasn't impossible to live that one, but it was definitely, there were too many kind of on the same side as each other. So here's this intermission now. This is the Starless Night intermission. This is the same as heroic difficulty of this fight. You got these blaze lines like on Fire Act on you, and you're also dodging these pizza slices. And the main rule, I suspect, for this is going to be to just try and move along your line rather than moving perpendicular to your line, right? And moving your line so that other people can dodge more easily. And if you do have to move perpendicular to your line, do it early rather than late so that people have time to adjust. So now here's the second phase. Once again, the boss is going to spawn still 5 images, but now it's going to empower 4 of them instead of 3 of them with that red aura around them. So that is coming up soon. Yeah, again, you can see 5 images spawning, and those people will now all get Queensbane as well, so they'll all be spawning ads. And we now drag the boss, so 4 of them getting Deathmark empowered, dragging the boss to the side so that we get these nether rifts, so that there's the middle of the room is kind of safe, right? If you're in the middle of the room, you're kind of getting dragged equally in all directions. You can even still keep casting. You don't have to be running against it or anything like that. You're because the pull on you is equal in all directions. And again, trying to now get these death marks through the boss. You can see everybody doing that. 3 stacks on the boss right now, so this is nasty, big damage. I get executed because I dropped below 10% health, so the Reaper spawned and killed me. The boss also gets a kill streak buff. Every time the boss kills somebody, it gets a stacking 5% buff that goes away in a little bit, so it is sort of a snowball effect. If a couple people die, the boss will get another damage amp for a little while that makes it more likely to kill even more people, so it's hard to recover on this fight from things going wrong. But you can see we still have a bunch of people alive. Only 1 more death mark needs to get cleared, goes through the boss, and there it is. You can see the boss is pulsing that AoE damage. It's not too bad with just 1 stack. So yeah, you're probably supposed to do 2, then 2 in this phase, and then 3, then 2 in the last phase. But yeah, here comes another set of those rifts, gripping everybody together. And you can see we're already 3.5 minutes through the fight. So on Heroic, the way it worked is soon we'd be getting the second intermission, and then you do 1 more main phase, and there's going to be 5 death marks in that phase on the 5 ads. And then when you get to the next intermission, it will do 3 slices instead of 2 for 10 ticks, and then it'll just do all 6 slices and kill you. So that was how it worked on Heroic. We didn't test it for sure on Mythic, but it seems like the cadence of the fight is the same. It seems like this isn't one of those fights that has a different timer on Mythic than Heroic, although I guess it could be like Rygolon, where the final Big Bang cast is different on Mythic, but I feel like it's already got a pretty good pacing for how that could line up. So yeah, this pull we managed to keep alive for a little while. And actually, one thing that was nice was if you had fewer people alive, she would spawn fewer images, which is kind of nice. But of course, you're going to lose to the DPS check if you try and do that. So you can see we only spawned 4 images here, which is, I guess, a little bit nicer. All 4 of them get the death mark empower, but I'm pretty sure it would be 5 all getting empowered if we had another person alive there. But yeah, with fewer people, it does get a little bit less hectic. You have a little bit less orbs going through everybody. But yeah, you can't win because you need the dam. But yeah, here's what it looks like. Okay, so this is cool. Normally tanks don't get targeted, but if you are being targeted by an ad, it will have a different animation. Now, one problem is that this can make it kind of hard to see if your ad is a red glowy ad that needs to have its death mark cleared, or if not. But again, I suspect that the strategy for this is going to be for the boss to be moved between 2 red glowy ads. And that way it'll be a little bit more obvious if you need to be clearing or not. Again, our strategy being used here is certainly suboptimal. This is a early testing, thing. Anyways, that's Nexus Princess Ky'vexa. Extremely cool fight. It looks sick. It was fun to play. Good mix of strategy and tactics and reaction. I'm really excited for this fight. I think it looks like it is going to be a banger. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.